Hello, welcome back. We're on video cast number 2 for this unit. We're going to talk today about assessing the unconscious. So we're still sticking on Freud for a little bit longer here and discussing different ways that we can test what's going on in the unconscious mind. So as you know, it's very difficult to get into the unconscious mind, right? It's not tangible, where the individual isn't even aware of it. So there's a few things we can do. The first are called projective tests. Instead of objective tests that remain unbiased, a projective test is where the individual projects the inner dynamics of their personality onto different inanimate objects. So a couple examples of this is the Rorschach or the TAT, the thematic apperception test. And what they do is they show images to the individual, then the individual needs to interpret that image and say what is happening there. The psychologist, believes that this person is projecting their own inner feelings onto the image. So there's a couple of differences between these two. We're going to look at them right now. So the TAT, it's a test where people express their inner feelings and interests through the stories they make up about ambiguous scenes. Here's an example, right? This is very descriptive scene. We have a person holding their head, holding the door, right? Then the psychologist would ask this individual to say why the person is doing that. So the Rorschach ink blot test is very difficult to say. Is the most widely used in projected tests because it seems a bit more objective than the TAT. It's a set of 10 ink blots designed by Herman Rorschach, and it seeks to identify people's inner feelings by analyzing their interpretations of these ink blots. These ink blots don't really look like anything, they believe that the person, whatever you see in it, is an indication of what your unconscious sees. So here's a couple examples. I would say that kind of looks like the Batman, right? I don't no idea what she thinks it looks like, but and this one is much nicer because it's incredibly standardized. There's only 10 of these ink blots, and for each age group, a set of 6 are selected from those 10, whatever the person indicates can indicate a lot about whatever the person says about the ink blot can indicate a lot about their personality, according to the people that use these tests. All right, let's talk about some criticisms of Freud as well. I've told you before that while Freud was widely renowned at the time that he came out with his research and made quite a bit of money off his fame and popularity and the books he published and everything, there were people at the time, and there were naysayers at the time, but now most people have abandoned Freud. He's still wildly popular in the media, and people are still analyzed in this way, whether or not they realize it by their friends and loved ones. But in the profession, he's mostly been abandoned. However, the psychodynamic lens at which to look at people has not been, just psychoanalysis itself. So here's some reasons why. So many Freudian concepts are incredibly vague, right? Like the libido. Well, what is that really? Where does that derive from? What part of the body? Is that instinctual? Is that genetic? Is that environmental? Are we trained in that? And then repression. What is impression? What is repression? Why do we repress? These things are very vague in Freud's definition. And then there's a focus on retrospective explanation, right? It only looks backward. It doesn't give any credit to what you're doing now in the present or in the future. So it's very hopeless, right? Someone who grew up in a really rough background in Freud's mind can never escape that background. And this just isn't the case, right? We've definitely heard a lot of success stories. Another issue is that there's no thought given to women in this at all. Any thought to women has been given afterward by other theorists trying to apply Freud. He has little to no consideration of women, and some say that he often focuses on his own personal experience as a child. And then the unconscious mind is not as smart or purposeful as Freud would like us to believe. This is an argument that people have, that the unconscious really isn't like this second personality in our heads, and it has intentions and drives. It's not like the devil and the angel sitting on your shoulders with lots of vivid thought and feeling. So a lot of people argue that the unconscious just really is not that important. All right, Neo-Freudians. Freud was a controversial figure, and many of his colleagues broke away from this view, but still maintain the psychodynamic aspect. So here's a couple of them. Alfred Adler, he's one of our key people for this unit. He focuses on the importance of childhood social tension. So social interactions in childhood affect later adult life social interactions. Karen Horney sought to balance Freud's masculine biases. She really focused on trying to come up with the female equivalents and representations of Freud's masculine arguments. And then Carl Jung emphasized the collective unconscious, this concept of shared, inherited memories tracing throughout our species' history. So he's very much the social cognitive guy. Alright, that is going to do it for this video cast. Nice, short, and sweet. And when I come back, obviously, we're going to be talking about human